interest rates go down, the stock market goes up. In Washington, the White House and Congress, some small progress. A huge winter storm clobbers the Northeast and much of the country. The U.S. Postal Service scrambling to make Christmas shipments. NBC News in depth tonight. Health insurance, the terrifying trap for people who can't get it. And an NBC News investigation. Saddam Hussein and his missiles now. New help from Russia.
From NBC News, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. Just in time for Christmas, the price of money is going down. Not by much, but enough to encourage Wall Street and maybe enough to kickstart some major purchases in America. Cars, homes, and big-ticket appliances. The Federal Reserve cut the interest rate 0.25% to 5.5%. Banks are expected to follow suit tomorrow, and in Washington, the standoff between President Clinton and congressional Republicans, some small signs of progress tonight. We begin with NBC's Mike Jensen and the interest rate news.
For the economy, for borrowers, and for the stock market, it was a wonderful holiday surprise from Alan Greenspan, the chairman of the Fed. A surprise 0.25 percentage point cut in interest rates, the first since July. The Fed had raised interest rates 7 times over a one-year period, mainly to fight inflation. Today, Greenspan said that battle is being won. In a written statement, he said inflation has been somewhat more favorable than anticipated. The cut will translate into lower borrowing costs for millions of Americans within weeks or months. They'll pay less interest on credit cards and auto loans and home mortgages.
It's the end of the year, and sellers are more willing to negotiate as well as being impacted by that 0.25 point drop in rates.
A homeowner with a $100,000 variable rate mortgage will save about $17 a month next time the rate is adjusted.
For $25,000, Conrail pays $69.
The stock market took off the moment the Fed announced its rate cut.
This shows that the Federal Reserve is sensitive to the fact that there's a slowdown going on in the economy.
At 1 p.m., the Dow was down 12 points, and at 2:15 it was down 19. Then came the Fed announcement. By 2:30, the Dow had recovered its losses, and by 3 o'clock it was up 23 points. It closed up 34 points. Analysts say all this will be good for an economy that has shifted into a lower gear. With sluggish Christmas sales so far, this could be just the kind of Christmas present that will put some holiday spirit back into the stores and into the stock market. Mike Jensen, NBC News, New York.
In Washington, your government still is partially frozen by the icy relations between congressional Republicans and the White House, but tonight, some small signs of a thaw. As these things go, it's not much of a difference in dollars and cents. But this is much less about money and much more about position for 1996. NBC's Jim Miklaszewski is at the White House tonight.
Just as Bob Dole and Newt Gingrich were headed to the White House for their budget talks with the president, he was in the Oval Office putting his veto on another Republican spending bill and still talking tough.
Only the Congress can shut the government down, and only the Congress can reopen it, but they can certainly reopen it.
But once they arrived at the White House and were inside the Oval Office, the president sounded ready to deal. And after their 2-hour meeting, Republican leaders were encouraged.
I think that's a very significant progress from where we were just a day ago. So I think it's a useful step. I wouldn't put too much on it yet. I think we'll meet in the morning.
According to Republicans, the president agreed to get personally involved in the negotiations, to rely on budget estimates from the Congressional Budget Office, and to reach agreement on a 7-year balanced budget by the end of the year. But they did not agree to end the current government shutdown. That could come tomorrow. And Vice President Gore emerged moments later to say the president did not agree to rely entirely on the congressional budget numbers.
There were no concessions by them, no concessions by us. It was a constructive discussion about how to get this process back on track.
And while the political bickering continues, more than 250,000 federal workers are still locked out of their jobs. The holiday lights still shine on the national tree, but the annual Christmas pageant in Washington was canceled today. Tomorrow, representatives from both sides will start negotiating on how to negotiate. And it looks like Congress will remain in session during their Christmas vacation next week. It's still a long way from any deal, but it's the closest thing to progress in some time. Jim Miklaszewski, NBC News, the White House.
One more piece of business from Washington tonight. The president signed the lobbying reform bill. This broadens the definition of a lobbyist. It requires all of them to register with the government, to disclose who their clients are, and to report how much they're being paid. When NBC Nightly News continues, just terrible weather crippling the East Coast, and still ahead tonight, a Christmas story.
I thank him for giving me his heart. Thank him for letting me be alive.
Two families celebrating the true meaning of Christmas, the greatest gift of all.
Okay, let's meet at Red Lobster in an hour.
Red Lobster? This holiday season, the place to meet is Red Lobster, where for a short time you can enjoy our ultimate feast with all your favorites on one plate. Succulent rock lobster, roasted shrimp, tender snow crab, and large golden fried shrimp. It's the ultimate feast, but hurry, it ends soon. Happy holidays from Red Lobster. And for your holiday parties, enjoy party platters to go.
This year, we've surprised more winners than ever. But January 28th, you could win the big one.
Live on TV after the Super Bowl, Publishers Clearinghouse will surprise a new $10 million winner. Your chance to win is in the mail.
Maxwell House introduces new Irish Cream Cappuccino in 4 easy steps.
Delicious.
New Irish Cream Cappuccino, only from Maxwell House.
Wouldn't be the holidays without pie, so today we're going to make an easy pie crust from scratch.
Easy? We'll show them easy.
First, gather all your ingredients, measure, mix, make a ball.
Or just unfold, fill, and bake.
For a pie crust that's tender, flaky, and tastes like you made it from scratch, follow this simple recipe. Pillsbury Refrigerated Pie Crust.
It's as easy as you-know-what. Woo-hoo!
There still may be 5 more shopping days to go, but tonight it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas across a lot of this country. A major winter storm dumping heavy snow from the plains to the northeast, making travel all but impossible in many areas. Of course, if you want to know what the weather's doing, the best thing to do is just to look out the window. Here's the view from our window, the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree, looking like something out of a holiday dream. But for travelers, it's a nightmare. You're looking live now at New York's LaGuardia Airport, where flights were canceled. Those trying to get a jump on the holiday travel are stuck tonight. In the Midwest, tough going outside of Cleveland. Again, a live shot, Route 90 here, where it has been snowing relentlessly. 2 reports on this mess. We begin tonight with NBC's Rahema Ellis.
Winter's still 2 days away, but tell that to travelers stranded along the northeast seaboard. The storm caused airport delays and cancellations from Pittsburgh to Boston.
Well, I hope to wind up in Miami, but we're going by way of Chicago.
Continental Airlines canceled more than 120 flights out of the New York area's LaGuardia and Newark airports. American Airlines essentially shut down operations along the northeast corridor. On the streets of New York City, nearly 2,000 sanitation workers were pressed into snow removal duty.
We will be salting all through the evening and probably right through tomorrow.
By mid-afternoon, a few inches of snow had fallen in the New York area, but this was just the beginning. The full force of the storm is expected to hit later tonight and drop nearly a foot of snow in some regions. The storm stretches from the Mississippi River to the East Coast. In Oklahoma City, the roads were treacherous and traffic barely moved. In Indiana, power outages. In Cleveland, they were digging out. NBC meteorologist Joe Whitty has been tracking where the heaviest snow is going to fall.
That critical secondary storm is now forming off the Carolinas. It will track towards Cape Cod. As it does, it will lay down a blanket of a foot of snow from the Poconos to Boston. Bostonians tomorrow battling blizzard-like conditions.
The timing of the storm is all wrong for some shoppers faced with only 5 more days till Christmas and still lots to do. But as always, for kids, it was a great day to play. And if forecasters are right, there will be more snow tomorrow, guaranteeing a white Christmas for much of the country. Rahema Ellis, NBC News, New York.
This is Robert Hager at the command center of the U.S. Postal Service in Washington.
Timing isn't everything, it's the only thing.
Let me tell you where it's going. We're talking Philly, Pittsburgh, JFK, mostly East Coast.
Managers here struggle to move all-time record amounts of holiday mail across the country in spite of the big storm. More than 1 billion cards, packages, and other mail en route after the heaviest mailing day in history yesterday, and a forecast for the heaviest ever day of deliveries tomorrow. The Postal Service had hired 117 extra jetliners, but the storm closed airports from the Midwest to the Northeast.
Is stuck because of weather. It can't get into Indy. They got a foot of snow on the ground down there.
Like, we can't get anything out of the Midwest right now.
Today, the Postal Service hired hundreds of extra trucks, asked Amtrak to find 50 extra mail cars, and is even considering use of freight lines to haul mail in a mad effort to get everything delivered by Christmas if the terrible weather permits. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
In New York City today, the second mass murder in 2 weeks. A gunman, apparently a robber, shot 9 people, killing 5 of them in a shoe store. Among the dead, a 12-year-old boy and his mother. The gunman then was critically wounded in a shootout with police in the Bronx. When we come back, NBC News in depth tonight. Caught in the health insurance gap. Over 55, not yet eligible for Medicare, uninsured and afraid. You're not alone.
Okay, I don't see much in here, just kind of flakes. There's nothing wrong with flakes per se. You know, flakes can be very useful when you're making a meatloaf or your bread and fish. Anywho, I'll give them a go. You know, just a little skosh, okay? Because I had the cupcake and the... Ooh, you know, hold on. They are, you know what they are? They are tasty. They are crispy and they are crunchy.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes. Oh, boy. That's a hoot.
Taste them again for the first time.
And hold it.
Oh, sure.
Concentrate. Stretch.
Now that I can do. Plump, delicious Sunsweet Lemon Essence Pitted Prunes.
Are you with me?
Sunsweet. Always a sweet idea.
Hi, honey. I just want you to know that I was wrong. I love you.
I can't seem to forget you. Your wind song stays on my mind.
Finally, great popcorn from your microwave.
Power Pop.
Presto Power Pop Microwave Multi-Popper.
Power Pop.
Pops virtually every kernel. Pop with oil, pop without oil. Nothing pops like Power Pop. That's why it's endorsed by Orville Redenbacher.
Power Pop.
From Presto.
Salad shooter helps you every day.
How about some cheese for your pizza or perfect salad shooter hash browns for breakfast? Vegetables sliced or shredded, and nothing tops a salad like
Salad shooter.
Slicer Shredder from Presto.
Helps you every day.
NBC News in depth tonight. The health insurance gap. Americans over 55 who are too young to qualify for Medicare and finding they can't get insurance on their own. How many are there? An estimated 3 million now between 55 and 64. Too young for Medicare. They're among the 40 million Americans with no health insurance at all. What does this do to their lives? What's being done about it? We begin our in-depth reporting tonight with NBC's Betty Rowland.
Liz Stacy is one of Shreveport, Louisiana's star saleswomen for Mary Kay Cosmetics. But she says she still can't afford health insurance. Like millions of others, she is scared because she falls into a health trap. Not poor enough to get Medicaid, not old enough to get Medicare. She must wait 4 years until she's 65 to have a cataract removed from her left eye.
And that's $5,000 or $6,000. And with no insurance, I'm waiting for Medicare.
Stacy lost her low-cost group insurance when she lost her full-time job as a secretary. In Charleston, West Virginia, Viola and Johnny Archer have a different problem. Retired and in their early 60s, the Archers can afford health insurance but can't get it. They say they've called about 30 companies.
They've all turned me down. They take the history and we never hear from them.
The reason? He has diabetes and both had heart attacks. The kind of pre-existing conditions that cause insurance companies to reject you and leave people like the Archers fearing they could be financially wiped out.
It's very frightening to be out here without any insurance.
The Archers' grown children also worry about their parents' insurance gap. They worry that if their parents' health fails, they may be forced to pay their medical bills.
This insurance gap affects 3 million people aged 55 to 64, a group that since 1987 has grown more than 25%. Their families are affected too. Many people like the Archers have pre-existing conditions, and either can't get insurance or must pay very high premiums, an average of 50% more. With no pre-existing condition, you can buy a policy, but your age will get you. At 60, insurance can cost as much as $300 a month, more than 3 times what you pay if you're 30. Johnny Archer blames the insurance companies.
They don't care about people. They're just interested in making money.
But the insurance companies say it isn't about greed.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out health care is expensive and therefore health insurance premiums are expensive. It's the nature of the beast.
For decades, politicians have debated cradle-to-grave health coverage for everyone, which would end all gaps. Yet that has never happened. So for now, the only hope for the Archers, Mrs. Stacy, and millions of uninsured others is to stay healthy until their 65th birthday. Betty Rollin, NBC News, Shreveport, Louisiana.
In Washington, Republican Senator Nancy Kassebaum of Kansas has introduced legislation to address many of these gaps in health insurance, and she joins us now. Senator, what would your legislation do for those people who were in a program and then were out of it for circumstances not necessarily under their control and found that they could no longer afford health insurance?
It would give them some assurance of portability, where they have been under an employer's health plan and are now out for reasons beyond their control. They have had to have been in it for at least 18 months. They cannot be denied participation.
As we just saw in Betty Rollin's report, a big need out there is for people who have what are called pre-existing conditions. Can you help them as well with legislation?
The exclusion for pre-existing health conditions is limited, and I feel strongly that if they have again been covered, they should be able, within a certain framework, to continue that coverage so that their premiums don't just soar because of pre-existing health conditions.
Senator, doesn't all of this really argue for comprehensive health coverage reform?
I don't see anything comprehensive on the horizon, and I think we need to move forward with limited efforts of what we can accomplish.
Senator, thank you very much. The Kassebaum legislation will not be taken up by the full Senate, however, until after the new year, and we will keep you posted. When we come back, an NBC News investigation tonight is Saddam Hussein at it again. Iraq's dangerous weapons game. What's going on? Who's helping him?
This year, we've given away more prizes than ever before.
Yeah! Can you believe this?
But next month, you could win the big one.
January 28th, all of America can watch the Publishers Clearinghouse Prize Patrol surprise a new $10 million winner live as it's happening right after the Super Bowl. Will it be you?
Not me.
What will you say?
Holy cow!
Enter the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes now, and on Super Bowl Sunday, the biggest winner could be you.
You build a razor with a precision groove to help the Norelco lift and cut system shave closer than ever before. And what do you get? The Norelco razor, our closest shave ever.
On the face of things, Tavist seems to cost a bit more than these cold medicines, but prices can be deceiving. See, one little 12-hour Tavist is so effective at relieving your congestion and sneezing that to get close to the same relief, you'd have to take 4 of these, or up to 6 of these, or 6 of these. So with these guys, you could pay more than twice as much, and you don't even get continuous relief. Now, there's something to feel sick about. Prescription strength Tavist. Relief you can count on.
To fight plaque, hold your brush at a 45-degree angle. Use strokes half a tooth wide.
Why brush the hard way?
Gentle.
The Norelco Dentaflex is tough on plaque, gentle on gums. The new Norelco Dentaflex.
How many times I told my dad to see a doctor? He was stubborn. But the pain in his stomach just wouldn't go away. He had to go. You should have seen the relief on his face when the doctor said Mylanta.
Mylanta is fast, soothing relief. In fact, even with all the new heartburn medicines available today, doctors recommend Mylanta most for heartburn and acid indigestion.
My doctor said Mylanta.
Dateline tonight. A mother tracks her son's killer.
Somebody knows what happened.
Why was she able to do what the cops couldn't? The chilling story of how Justin got his justice. Dateline tonight.
We have graphic evidence tonight of the huge security lapses that led to the assassination of Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin. You can see in slow motion on this amateur video, broadcast for the first time today, just how close the confessed killer, Yigal Amir, was when he fired at point-blank range. The muzzle flash clear against Rabin's back. The panic that followed. Amir was back in court today, his murder trial to start officially next year. Now we have an NBC News investigation. Saddam Hussein up to more dangerous business these days, trying to rebuild his long-range military punch and almost getting away with it. NBC's Fred Francis now with more proof of Baghdad's deadly designs.
Saddam Hussein is secretly trying to build, quote, long-range missiles, unquote, forbidden by UN resolutions. That is the disturbing conclusion of the UN's chief weapons inspector for Iraq. NBC News has learned that Ralphie Kayes will report this week there is hard evidence showing that Hussein has brazenly tried to develop a new and lethal missile program. NBC News obtained a copy of the UN report which states Iraq has recently admitted it conducted a covert program to develop and produce a surface-to-surface missile. Hussein's use of medium-range Scuds prolonged the Gulf conflict, and it is believed he now wants one with longer range.
He's still trying to make missiles that reach the English Channel, and he still has nuclear weapons ambitions. So until any of that changes, we cannot reduce our vigilance.
Now UN missile inspectors say they have caught the Iraqi dictator red-handed in the first completely new Iraqi weapons program since the war, and in direct defiance of promises made to the UN. 2 weeks ago, Russian agents sent to the Jordanian port of Aqaba more than 100 high-grade missile guidance components to be shipped overland to Iraq, equipment like gyroscopes critical to long-range rockets. Iraq claims it did not order the parts, that the Russians simply sent them. Yet this is not the first instance of Iraqi rearming. The Iraqis are developing biological weapons too. That in combination with a new missile is alarming.
The potential of using biological weapons against a population center is very effective in the Middle East, where you tend to have large densities of population.
UN inspectors agreed that seems to be Hussein's intention, saying that it is clear now he will not give up his dream of dominating the Middle East. Fred Francis, NBC News, Washington.
More momentum tonight in the American buildup in Bosnia. The Air Force flying more troops and equipment into Sarajevo today aboard a C-17 cargo plane. And farther north, the bad weather cleared long enough to bring in the first heavy guns from Ramstein Air Base to Tuzla, where the 20,000 U.S. troops will be based. Now to NBC News Online, beyond the day's headlines. America couldn't live with him and now can't live without him. Richard Nixon. Today, the National Archives released the latest batch of Nixon White House documents, mostly routine correspondence. The total release so far, 5 million pages, along with 63 hours of tape. Still under wraps, however, 39 million pages, more than 3,600 hours of tape. And now, Nixon the movie from the controversial director Oliver Stone. Much of this film is speculative, a character study, according to Stone. Today, the Nixon family called it character assassination, deliberately malicious and degrading. Stone is denying those charges. When NBC Nightly News continues, a heartwarming tale, a little girl with a new lease on life because of a very special gift from another youngster.
Something wonderful is here to tempt you at breakfast. Temptations. Kellogg's Honey Roasted Pecan Temptations cereal. Temptations. Roasted pecans, luscious golden honey, crisp, crunchy oven-baked flakes of corn. Temptations. Kellogg's Temptations cereal. Irresistibly delicious honey roasted pecan. Temptations. And low-fat French vanilla almond too.
Why just decorate when you can deck the halls? Why just make dessert when you can make magic? Cool Whip has 2 grams of fat. 2 merry little grams. So why live a little when you can live a lot?
There are places much easier to cross in the air. All it takes is the right equipment. Land Rover Discovery. It'll get you anywhere, and you're guaranteed a window seat.
For a conquest like this, you need the cushioning and support of a walking shoe and the nerve to look down. Easy Spirit. Inside's our walking shoe, outside's the whole world.
The most precious thing is time. Time with my kids. Time to have fun together. But when I'm irregular, it's not much fun for me or my kids. I can't take a harsh chemical laxative and then get trapped on one of those rides. So I take Metamucil natural fiber therapy. Works with my body, safely, gently. Gives me the fiber I need to get regular and stay regular. Thanks to Metamucil, I'm having as much fun as my kids. Sometimes more.
Metamucil, the natural choice for regularity.
If you've been dreaming of a white Christmas, chances are you'll get your wish. As a winter storm wallops the country, we'll tell you what you need to know when you wake up tomorrow on Today.
2 years ago, this week was a terrifying time for two families, one in the mountains of North Georgia, the other in North Carolina. Each family had a child hovering near death. One lived, the other didn't. But the story now has a happy ending for both families. NBC's Bob Dotson is here to tell us.
Glenda Gooch lives this Christmas with a heart that beats for two families.
This one's pretty.
On Christmas Eve 2 years ago, she was dying. Her only hope, a new heart, to replace one damaged since birth. It came on Christmas morning with a letter.
Dear Glenda, my name is Carol Breyer.
The mother of the boy who had the heart first.
Ryan had freckles all over the bridge of his nose.
He was just her age, 10, killed by a drunk driver. Died a week after his birthday on Christmas Eve.
All I could think was, this is Christmas Eve. How am I going to make it through the rest of my life? On a positive note.
Ryan's mom decided to donate his heart. It went to Glenda in Blairsville, Georgia. Now, 2 years later, she is strong enough for
swimming and softball and riding bikes and doing everything she wants to.
For the first time in her life.
You really want your child to live. Just want a chance for it to grow up and to be normal. But you know that somewhere in this world, that there's somebody that is grieving.
Rarely do donor families know who gets their heart.
This old train is...
Ryan's found out through friends who knew them both.
Well, we're very happy for them, and it's helped us heal.
Because Glenda has a compassionate heart.
I love you.
She calls Ryan's parents practically every week.
I thank him for giving me his heart. Thank him for letting me be alive.
The miracle that we were asking for happened for Glenda, and so it worked out good.
They are all of one heart about that. Bob Dotson, NBC News, Charlotte, North Carolina.
That's nightly news for Tuesday. Tonight on Dateline NBC, the latest on former radio talk show host Sonny Block. He gave his listeners advice on how to invest. He wound up in jail. That's Dateline tonight at 10, 9 Central. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you back here tomorrow night.
The world is now watching the NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. NBC News, now more than ever.